The Godfather of Advertising, David Ogilvy. In 1982, David wrote an internal memo to his employees titled How to Write, and in just 10 bullets, he put together a masterclass in effective writing. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through each of those 10 bullets and how you can use them today to 10x your writing. Let's get right into it. The memo starts with a clear why. The better you write, the higher you will go in Ogilvy and Mather. People who think well, write well. Good writing is not a natural gift. You have to learn to write well. And David was clearly onto something, because writing is a force multiplier for your career. Designers who can write, engineers who can write, accountants who can write, videographers who can write, no matter what your skill set is, writing will multiply it. And if you just follow the 10 tips in this video, you'll be a better writer than 99% of people. All right, tip number 1 is read the Roman-Raphaelson book on business writing and read it 3 times. Now, this is by far the best and only book on business writing you need to read. So after this video, go to Amazon, type in writing that works, pick up a copy and keep it on your desk. It's short, actionable, and filled with tactical tips that will turn you into the best writer at your company in just a matter of hours. Tip number 2 is to write the way you talk, naturally. When most people start writing, they try to find their writing voice. But the truth is, you already have a voice, and it's the one you use every day. For some reason, people think that their writing voice and their speaking voice should be different, but they shouldn't be. And in fact, the best writing sounds like it's having a conversation with you. So how do you start to use your own voice in your writing? The next time you sit down to write about something, don't start writing. Instead, grab your phone, pull up your voice recorder, and talk through the idea. Get everything you have to say about it out of your head and into the voice recorder. Then transcribe it and use that note as the outline. This is going to make your writing sound much more conversational, since it's your talking voice that's doing most of the writing. Here's me getting all of the ideas out of my head and into the Otter app, and from here I'll use this as the outline for my next piece of writing. The next 3 tips are all about unlearning the way schools taught you to write, because to be honest, they did a horrible job teaching it. And if you want more frameworks like this, you can go to startwritingonline.com and download our free 13,000 word ultimate guide that has everything you need to start writing online and building an audience. Tip number 3 is to use short words, short sentences, and short paragraphs. And tip number 4 is never use jargon. Now, this takes a little bit of unlearning, because schools teach us that we need to find these big words and use a thesaurus, and also have these long, whirly sentences if we want to sound smart. But in the real world, people are busy and they have tiny attention spans. So if you want them to read your writing, you have to be very clear and concise. And to do that, I use these 2 hacks. The first hack is to read all of your writing aloud. Now, this works because as you talk things out, there's going to be points where you trip up or maybe get a little bit out of breath. And when you find those points, that's where you know you need to simplify. And the second hack is to pretend like you're writing to an 8th grader. This is going to stop you from using any big, complicated words and keep your writing short and simple. To do this, you can also use an app like Hemingway, where when you plug all your writing into it, it'll show you all the parts you could clarify. Tip number 5 is to never write more than 2 pages on a subject. Now, this is once again where school failed us, because in school, if there was a 5-page paper assigned to us and we wrote 7, we got bonus points. But in the real world, your goal is to get your writing across in as few words as possible. So whenever I'm writing, I like to keep this quote in mind, which is, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter. Tip number 6 is to check your quotations. This is the simplest and easiest one on the whole list. No need for any unforced errors. If you're quoting someone, make sure you are spot on with it. Tip number 7 is to never send a letter or memo on the day you write it. Read it aloud the next morning, then edit it. This is the single best piece of writing advice I can give you. If you're publishing something important, always, always, always give it time to breathe. And here's my 4-part framework for doing that. First, I come up with an idea that I want to write about. Then I'll write about it, which takes about 90 minutes. After that, I shut it and I come back to it the next day about 24 hours later. Then I read it aloud, edit it for 5 minutes, and then hit publish. Tip number 8 is that if something is really important, get a colleague to improve it. Now, this pairs nicely with point number 7. That is, if you're publishing something important, you probably should get someone else's feedback on it. And the easiest way to do this is to follow the approach Tim Ferriss uses when he gets feedback on his writing. When getting feedback, Tim Ferriss asks the reader to highlight 3 different places. First, anywhere where they got confused. Second, anywhere where they found their mind starting to wander. And third, the absolute best 10%. This gives him everything he needs that he should clarify, everything that he should cut, and everything that he should 100% keep. Tip number 9 is before you send your letter or memo, make sure it is crystal clear what you want your reader to do. This one is so simple, but so easy to forget. Put yourself in the reader's shoes and picture the exact next steps they should take after reading. Then clearly lay out those steps for them. Said another way, send everything you have with a purpose. And speaking of purpose, that brings us to the 10th and final tip. The 10th and final tip is if you want action, don't write. Go and tell the guy what you want. This last and final tip is important because while writing is good, it's never a replacement for a simple targeted conversation. In fact, a lot of time is wasted back and forth with emails and messages where people really could solve that problem in just a short, quick conversation. So when you're doing any kind of business writing, especially something that requires action, just go and tell the person what you want. Boom. To recap David Ogilvy's 10 writing tips that will 10x your writing. Number 1, read the Roman-Raphaelson book on writing and read it 3 times. Number 2, write the way you talk naturally. Number 3, use short words, short sentences, and short paragraphs. Number 4, never use jargon. Number 5, never write more than 2 pages on any subject. Number 6, check your quotations. Number 7, never send a letter or memo on the day you write it. Read it aloud the next morning and then edit it. Number 8, if it is something important, get a colleague to improve it. Number 9, before you send your letter or memo, make sure it is crystal clear what you want the recipient to do. And number 10, if you want action, don't write, go and tell the guy what you want. Boom, I hope you found these tips helpful because I'm convinced that writing well is the single most powerful skill you can develop to accelerate your career. So if you want more frameworks like this, you can go to startwritingonline.com and download our free 13,000 word ultimate guide that's going to have everything you need to really up your writing game. And if you enjoyed these tips, you'll also love this video, which will show you how to generate 100 viral content ideas in under 15 minutes. That's it for this one. Be sure to give the video a like if you liked it, leave a comment if you have any questions, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. See you in the next one.